Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the breakfast show, Money Talk with Smart Robie. As we took the market to a new correction, that's right, because of the rubber glove that we see again, rubber glove continue to hit our headlines, which we all need to know why it is important, because the story will be presented today. So let's move on to our first story for today. It's no other than, that's right, the GDP figure. That's right. A lot has been said about our market during the COVID-19. Right now, tomorrow, I think probably around 5 o'clock, the GDP figure for the second quarter of 2020 will be released. So everyone is putting the eye on that. But let's look at some of the past indicator that we have. And this is from CEO briefing from the Edge that talks about the monthly wholesales and retail definitely drops. Let me just show you in here during the April and March from 100 over a billion to 66 billion return, because people couldn't buy more things, and you can see a lot of the consumer products did suffer. Even defensive stock has been taken a hit, and also our purchasing manufacturing index, which is usually measured how busy is the activity that we have, and during the MCO many of those stores has been shut and factory has been closed down. Only those essential ones, including CPO, finally did open, and that's where we saw the PMI figure for the first time since recession way back in 2000 and so forth. The market dipped below the 45 figure and it went down to 31.1, and then we went back to 51.6. So the June month was kind of very optimistic at 51. So the question going forward, will we hit higher than 51? In my personal opinion, I do feel that this is already there lah. I think we will dip back down just below 48, 47. But very important, we don't go below the 45 level in here. We are still not out at the wood yet. As such, the analysts for this GDP, again, we are looking in the past, right? The economists and analysts are expecting a negative contraction at minus 10.9%. Just 2 days ago or yesterday, UK also released their GDP figures, and again, a lot of politicians take this opportunity to bash the government. But of course, politicians have to know we have into a COVID-19, isn't it, right? But looking forward next year, 2021, it's going to be a positive 6 to 7.5% GDP growth, as mentioned by our finance minister. All right, let's move on to our next story, shall we? Now, next story again revolves into the opportunity that is abound for the KLSE. But again, the wild card is the GDP that we talk about, right? Definitely going in it is going to be minus, pretty tough one. So I already told you so. So by the time we release on Saturday, don't be alarmed, okay? So, but there is opportunity in here. As such, the second quarter figure, if it is below, let's say -7, -8, then it does give a very good GDP figure going forward for the higher KLSE. Having said that, but what has happened is because many of the new rubber glove, including Supermax and also Kosan, has been added into the KLSE. So the weightage now has become much stronger. I think I've already talked about this, around the 13% weightage for the KLSE. As such, the historical PE, which we usually look at the KLSE around, again, to the 2 standard deviation around 19 times, now it is up to 20 times. But there are bargain stocks, so just use SmartRobie, look for trade ideas that you see inside there. And again, all these are meant for educational purposes, so do take note of your risk involved. All right, let's move on to our next story that we have. No other than, okay, is the TopGlove, again on the rubber glove. Now, rubber glove seems to be kind of very interesting, seems to hit the hot line. So I do think that many of our readers in here should at least know what is going on and how to interpret all the news that you see on the popular media in here. Definitely one of them will be TopGlove. As you can see, TopGlove now been researched by CD Research. I think this is probably from overseas. CD Research talk about TopGlove could touch 77.60 ringgit per share, but they're giving a target price of, how much is it? $48. Right now, let's look at the TopGlove. So we put in TopGlove in here. Okay, and let's see. All right, so you can see right now in the TopGlove on the screen on the right is minus 1%, it's $24. Even hitting $28.80, it's tough. So when will be $48 coming? That one I also don't know. I also scratch my head. And the same article also talk about target price around Harta Lega, $26.70, $16.60 for Kosan, and $24.90 for Supermax. Just kind of take note in here. Right, a lot of the focus has been on healthcare and PPE, and next we have the story on COVID-19 vaccine, where Duopharma really are looking for growth, targeting a lot of niche market. But we all know at the end of it, Duopharma is really doing a lot of supply to the government. They tried, but being the lucrative deal with the government has always been contributing a lot of the revenue. So in this COVID-19, we have seen that they did announce a net profit of 14.7 million for the month of 30th of June compared to last year 13.9 million, and revenue have slipped to 143.3 million. Having said that, if you look at Robie, let's look at Robie for Duopharma here. Right, you can see, let's look at the stock fundamentals. So the stock fundamentals did tell us that it is only have a rating of 1 and a PE of 40 times. That's really, really pricey, you know. 40 times are usually more for growth stocks. So the growth now, is it coming from the COVID-19 vaccine, which we all talk about? The Russian has their first vaccine in the world, and the president of Philippines are testing out for himself, and he said he's happy to be a guinea pig. Are you? I'm not. So let's look at this. So the ROE is standing at 9% in here, dividend of 1.9. So that's not too bad. Again, a lot of these things are being priced in. You can always take a look at the chart. So learn to use the chart to go in at the nice pullback. That's what I always say. Else, the risk can be high. So an advantage of reading the chart. All right, let's take a look at Duopharma on a chart-wise basis and see where it is now. Okay, chart-wise, it's very nice. You can see pullback did stay above, and you have, guess what? It has no demand. No demand, very, very good. No demand on what? No demand on a blue trend zone, and something our members have taken note of. All right, that's a no demand. Sorry, no supply. CNS is confirmed no supply. I made my a judgment on to correct myself. That will be a no supply, which is a sign of strength. All right, so let's move on to the next story that we have. It's no other than but before that, as I said before, Duopharma is really an extension of the government contractors inside doing a lot of the pharmaceutical, and they have their contract extended by another 25 months to 31st of December 2021. So you do know that it is quite safe, the pipeline of the revenue coming in for Duopharma, and we also know COVID-19, these are the guys will be dishing it out too. Let's move on to the next will be property sectors. Now, property sector get into the limelight because of the stock market rotation that we have seen from the rubber glove, which I will talk about, to plantations, to oil and gas, and maybe a little bit spill over to property. Also, do take a look at all the banking stock. They also jalan. So check out the banking stock and use the sector analysis too. So in here, you can see the property development, SB Setia has shown a very good result, collecting almost a revenue of 1.03 billion with a loss of 58 million because they have an impairment of 145. What does impairment mean? For those of you who don't know, first time coming in, impairment means something about to happen. Bad things. So basically what is this? That they built too much, a lot of inventory, no people want to buy, so they say impairment rosak. So this inventory actually not rosak, just they write it off because they couldn't sell it. So in the balance sheet, they have to recognize this as rugi, loss. So they wrote it as impairment. Means something that is still there, but they couldn't sell it, so they make a loss of minus 145.9 million. So that giving a net loss, but it's quite healthy. You will also notice in the same newspaper Edge, which is coming out this week, they have hired a lot of big gun celebrity online. It's not face-to-face kind of thing because they want to avoid the COVID, to do their sales for them, right? I think I've seen some of the advertisement on property. 1 ringgit, that's right, 1 ringgit can buy a property. You say 1 ringgit can buy, can't even buy nasi lemak, isn't it? But 1 ringgit can buy property. It's scary, isn't it? Isn't it? Right? Especially those of you who are listening at your, so-called younger days, or you may have 10 ringgit. Hey, I go and buy property. But the obstacle is always on the loan approval process from the banks. Right? Banks are very, very serious about non-performing loans. No doubt you can buy, right? But can you get a loan? So also these articles also talk about the sales breakdown, generally on the central, which is the Klang Valley, registering about 502 million sales. On the south, on the Johor side, 127 million, and 73 million on the northern side around the Penang, Batu Werk, Seberang Perai, and probably the Kedah side around that one. So quite well diversified SP Setia, and they have secure booking on 1.42 billion as of July 2020. Again, depending on the loan approval and disbursement, so this may be slightly less if the loans are not approved based on the income of the people who is buying the houses. All right. So another stocks in play during the defensive stocks, which also taken a hit, is no other than Heineken. People need to drink, but over this COVID-19, people couldn't go out, and the sales has generally dropped, and they registered a revenue decline of 50%. So having said that, let's look at Heineken in here. It is registered ratings of 6, one of the best, and I do note, I do have this on the client portfolio. It's a forever one of those stocks you should have for being defensive. And if you can see right now, let me just move on. It does has, let me go down to stock fundamentals in here. All right. Okay, stock fundamental one more time again. Okay. So we're just waiting the, oh yes, there you go. Here you will have a ROE of 54%, very, very good, dividend of 4.8, and a PE of 28 times. So that's, to me, from the SmartRobie, does give it a good ratings for that one. Something more for those more senior people who's looking for you. Again, do take note, Heineken is not Shara compliance in there. All right, let's move on to our next story that we have for you. It's no other than... That's right, discover a new feature in SmartRobie. Today we'll be talking about Inbox. Now in Inbox, which many of you don't usually use, you'll see the pop-up on the top side of the screen. There are some important messages that you know, and definitely one of them would be receiving a free credit of 800 bonus credit if you were to open up with our partner UOB Kay Hian. Something you can think about in here, and also the how to use app tutorial in there. Do share this app, and again earn another 200 credit for yourself. So that's the new feature for SmartRobie, just using the Inbox. All right. So for the next section in here, which is very favorite of everyone, which is going to be the Premium Alert. Now Premium Alert on Wednesday we picked Wegmans. Wegmans did go up, hit high, but finally closes low, but it did register sort of an average run about 8.6% in here. So that's what we have seen for Wegmans. Will it go higher? It's yet to be seen. The other picks that we have early on did take a big hit because of the rubber glove coming in down in here. So right now we have the LBS. Okay, LBS is the stock pick for the stock trade idea. Okay, I repeat, it's a stock trade idea for this morning. Using the Premium Alert is LBS Property. So LBS Property, let's take a look at LBS, shall we? Okay, but before that, let's check out the Premium Alert too, because this was the morning trade idea. Oh, we got a lot more new one. SDS, MCT, we got Bin Thai. Okay, that's a food product. Khee consumer. LBS is hot, that's why I like it. Okay, so I'll keep to LBS and I'll look for another one. Construction, Prosonic is already run already. I like that one too. Let's look at Khee. Okay. So that's Khee, and we look at the stock price. Okay, wow, up 8% already this morning. Okay. Okay, let's move to Khee, and we hit the stock trade idea here. Okay. It's not too bad. It's an uptrust because it hasn't ended yet, but it has a nice line chain in here. I like this one in here. Okay. Yesterday was a nice breakout in here. If you have gone in yesterday, so much better in here, right? This chart actually looks pretty good, but the question is, will it take off from here, right? Let me take a look. Okay, let me just bring it up in here. Okay, so you have the line change, a pullback. Take on the pullback trade. Okay, those of you who want to trade the trades, Kisang, do it on the pullback trade because there is a potential. No doubt it has a line change and it hit 35 cents, and the pullback will be good for this one. So use a pullback entry, right? Or if you want to buy it now, then be ready for the market to come back down a bit more before you want to have. So remember, every trade is an idea in here, and always use stop loss, for as this is part of the education that we have for you. All right, so let's move on to the next section that we have. Is no other than just a little tutorial that I prepared for you. Some of you have seen this before in here, is to look at how you want to see and use the trade idea to position yourself. Very technical entry. If you look back up to 17th of July in here, the trades has been doing pretty decent, winning about 60 over plus. Early on when we started, we were in a good market. We have about 80% win rate, but generally you're looking about 8.9%, 2/3 of the time with the winning rates in here. So check out that video. The whole point, what I want to share with you in that video, is to teach you how to look for those setup when you were to buy or sell some of these stocks in here. All right, now don't forget our next presentation for next Wednesday, right, will be the vaccine counter versus gold. Which investment is better in the post COVID-19 era? That will be next Wednesday in here. So be prepared and share this talk schedule in your timeline so more people can benefit from the information that we're having, and all these are for educational purposes. So with that, I leave you to my next slide. What we usually do in our Telegram, right, to invite you to join, is our free Telegram chat. Free information in here, so to keep track of some of the things that we talk about in here. This is the QR code, and perhaps you can also share that in your timeline too. So with that, I have for this Friday, so I wish all of you a good weekend, and I'd like to see you on Monday again. So that's it. Bye bye.